Hi, and welcome to the Small Business Podcast for small businesses. In this episode, we are dialing back. We've had so many people recently pop in and ask, how do I set up a small business? So, we did an episode on this previously. So, if you've already listened to it, have another listen because you never know when things might ping up in your brain, and there's always a bit of a ticky list there somewhere. But if you haven't, have a listen. And as always, let us know what you think. And yeah, share with someone. If you know someone who's thinking of or just in the process of setting up a new small business, then please recommend it and pass it along. Where do you start? Where do you go? What do you do? Who do you talk to? Something they're either really passionate about, really good at, just generally just amazing. They've got that talent or that trade or whatever it might be, but they've ended up in here normally by word of mouth recommendation because they don't know where to go. Where do they start? They contacted a few obvious companies in town, didn't hear back, didn't know, but they also didn't know what questions to ask or where to go with it. So this episode is all about what you do, where do you go, who do you need to speak to. It's a difficult one because it depends actually who are you, where are you from, what's your business, how big do you want your business to be. So it's just having that starting point. And there's many enterprise agencies out there to help that. So for example, our closest one is Mentor in Bury St Edmunds. Mentor is somewhere I went. They do various courses. They've got business mentors. They've got a lot of help for whoever you are to get started. Now, I went there when I started quite a few years ago, but also I've had clients come in when they've got in touch with accountants, business coaches, and also experts in their field, but they've not quite got the rounded knowledge they were looking for. So the first things first is when you start your business, one, you can just start. So you can just start working and getting paid for it. So there's nothing to stop you doing that as long as the income and the expenses are recorded, which I'll come on to in a minute. Also, if you're already an expert in your field, or you've already worked for someone, or you've already got the contacts, it is easier to get started. The problem being with that is you get started, you can only get so far without HMRC getting in touch, and there's certain boxes you need to tick, but also understanding the benefits for your business. Do you need to be limited? Do you need to be self-employed? What do you need to be VAT registered? So there's all that legal side of it on the finances, but also in terms of, do you need terms and conditions? Do you need to be signed up to or registered or qualified to certain organisations? Now, again, that's very much down to what you do and who you're working for. There's also the other example of if you're a tradesman. So if you're in the construction industry, you might be a contractor under the contractor industry scheme of how you're paid. Again, that's something, and all of this, everything when it comes to finance, being paid, it is all on the HMRC website. Hands up, they are getting better at their website and there is more information out there. But sometimes it's like the side of it that actually you just need put into the words that you understand and what makes sense to you. So where do you go to start? The answer is really mainly an enterprise agency if you can. Come into us, we can help. Or speak to someone you know who runs their own business already. So I have a number of people come in and they speak to lots and lots of different people. They want to start their own business. 9 times out of 10, you will know someone who runs their own business already. Go and have a cuppa with them. Talk to their experience. What did they do? Because there are some fundamentals that are exactly the same no matter what the business is, no matter who you are. The most important thing is keeping it legal. So registering with the HMRC, making sure that they have you registered, whether it's self-employed or a business, and keeping your records. Now, keeping your records is as much benefit to you as it is the tax man. So making sure you're getting paid, you're claiming expenses. The best way to keep records is sign up for an accounting software. However, you don't have to. If you're not VAT registered, you won't be part of Making Tax Digital at the moment. So you won't have to be on software. So you can do a traditional spreadsheet. The main thing is making sure that all your records and everything's recorded as to what goes in and out of the bank account. So, for example, if you've got a business account and then you can keep it separate, keep it separate. If you've got 3 or 4 bank accounts, so you've got money moving, so you've paid out for some stationery over here, or you've paid, one company's always paid you into this account, so you've got, it just gets really, really messy. So you want to keep this as easy as possible for yourself. So open one bank account. Unless you're limited, you don't have to have a business bank account, so you don't have to pay that monthly fee for a business one. So you can have a personal one, but as long as you're recording all of your total incomings and outgoings that are specifically for the business, that's all that the HMRC need to know. Now, the best way to do this simply and keep a record of it is to, whether you're using accounting software or not, is just to make sure everything's accounted for, especially your income. Because if you ever have, God forbid, an investigation, that HMRC can look at everything, and that is every single personal bank account you have. So if you've got some income coming in one and some income coming in another, and maybe you've forgotten about it, no matter how small it is, they can investigate and have access to it. So it's good to be mindful of that, to make sure that you've got one business account, because then separately, anything and everything can go in and out of that account, and you know where you are with it. If you choose to use the software, that can keep your records for you. You can raise your invoices out of it. You can take pictures and go paperless and have all your expenses on it. So you know exactly where you are. It can also then produce reports you might need. Now, self-assessment or income tax, Making Tax Digital is coming into force in 2026 if you've got income of more than £50,000 a year, or 27 if you've got an income more than £30,000 a year. So it's just to be aware of, it will come around really, really quickly. The other thing is these accounting softwares aren't that much, depending how much you're using them and how big a company you are. On the grand scheme of things, the admin it will save you in terms of keeping records and having all of that information there will pay off in what that monthly fee is. So some people like to raise invoices maybe still on a receipt book. It might be that they do a Word document for some invoices. However it works, I guarantee, or depending how many transactions you've got going through, accounting software will save you time on that. And that's the biggest thing for your business, is when you do start up, it can cost you a lot. You can be thrown everything from, why don't you sign up for this software? This software will help you. Why don't you have a website? Why don't you have this? Just be mindful of how much you're investing in that. And this is where Mentoring Berry's quite good, because they do very, very good value courses that will teach you marketing, bookkeeping, and just the very basics to get you going. The biggest thing is to know how much you value your time. So if you've got a trade, if you're making something, or your business is very specific in you're making money out of a certain service or product you're providing, your time is quite valuable. And that's what you've got to remember. If you're taking a day off a week to do invoicing and you're creating them all manually, that is very, very different to if you've got some accounting software and everything's being logged automatically and you don't have to take that day off. And when I say day off, I mean an admin day, a day off of what you're doing to make money for your business. And that's where you've got to have an idea of what your hourly or your day rate is. So you can then choose whether it's software, marketing, whatever you're signing up to, you can choose it wisely to make sure it's the best fit for you. Again, going back to what I said at the beginning, all of this is very specific depending on the product, service, or the type of business you're running. You ideally want to keep your expenses down as much as possible. And this is where speaking to other business owners and various contacts, friends, family that run their own business, what they've signed up for and their expenses might be very, very different to yours. we know several clients, they don't have lots of expenses going out. They might not even need a website or marketing. So it's being aware and not being, it's quite exciting when you first set up a business, but it's just not being overwhelmed with and just signing up to everything just in case, because very, very quickly that £10 a month, £20 a month, £50 a month, £100 a month does add up. So you just need to take that into consideration when you're signing up for and when you're asking people to help you out with stuff. The next bit in with starting is your marketing side of things. So you've started, you've spoken to a few people, you've got some advice, you've set up your business, you've got a name, and then it might be that you need a logo. So the majority of businesses do need a logo. It all starts with your brand recognition and people to know what to call you, how to contact you. So you don't need to spend thousands and thousands on this, but just something you like, you're happy with, is nice and clear. It might be that it sums up what you do in a picture, or it might be that it needs some words under it. As long as it's got your company name, which might be your name, which is absolutely fine, you just need that to set up, because you'll then put that on your invoices and you'll use it on any marketing material you might do. It just makes life that little bit simpler. It also starts with building your brand. Now, as much as I hate the conversation or the question, where do you want to be in 5 years? You want to have an idea of your business. So are you setting it up just to be you and it's me, myself and I? Or are you setting it up so that you're building a business? Maybe you want a team, maybe you want different locations. It's keep being mindful of that, because that will then drive your brand and where you go with that and how you want to set it up. So if you're building a brand and you do want a team, you want to make sure you've got those values, boundaries, rules, how you work, how you speak to people. That is all building a brand. So, for example, if you think of Waitrose versus Aldi, for example, you can see their brand values are very, very different. No one's good or bad. It might be to a certain customer. So one customer might love one and not the other, but for very different reasons. And because everyone's so different, that is a good thing. But it's just being clear what that is to you and how you work. So it's how you treat your customers, how you might obtain clients, where's your presence, where they might find you. It's just taking all of that into consideration of how it's going to work for you. So to step onto that, then it might be that you're setting up because you've already got a client base, you know what you're doing, you've got that word of mouth. Before you've even set up, you've got 6 months' work lined up. Absolutely amazing. That's absolutely marketing gold. You cannot get better than that because you've got that reputation. It might be that you don't know where to start and you might be starting something absolutely new straight off the bat. So then where do you go from that? Might be that you need to set up a website or social media or advertise in the local parish magazines. I'm telling you now, you don't need all three unless you're setting up a social media agency, because then you'll want to be across everywhere. But it's knowing for your business what marketing's right for you. Where are your customers? Are your customers of the demographic where they're going to pick up a parish magazine and they might not be on social media? Are they of the demographic where they're only just looking at TikTok, and if it's not on TikTok, it doesn't exist and it's not a thing? That's where you need to know who you're aiming at and what your business might be. Yes, that's very broad, and yes, that is quite generic, but it's just those simple steps of who your target audience is and where they're looking, where they might be, because that is then exactly where you want your business to be. But just having that logo, so if you think of a swirly red, you'll think of Coca-Cola. So you know you've got that brand recognition, and that's where you want to be. If you're building up a reputation with a certain client base, they can recognise your logo, your name. Immediately, it is very easy to find you. So it's just having that information out there so they know where to find you, where to go, and how to get in contact with you. So they're the basic fundamentals of what you need to do to start a business. We can, as I say, we can absolutely help with that. We regularly have people in just for an hour, and we can help out as much or as little as you need in terms of getting going, setting up, what you need to do. We will always send people away with a to-do list, and we can help as much or as little as you need. What we don't know is your industry-specific information. So going back to what I was saying earlier in terms of the legalities of things, if you're a qualified accountant, there's certain legislation you need to adhere to, certain things you can only do if you're a qualified accountant. That is your expertise. That is for you to sign up to and have those boxes ticked. A bit like if you're a financial advisor, it's off the FCA and registering with a number of those people, following those guidelines. Same with registering. It might be through the ICO, which is the Information Commissioner's Office. That is all about GDPR and dealing with people's information. So there's certain little things like that you might not have considered. But if you are just buying and selling a product, you're not holding information about anyone, you don't need to know about that. But it's making sure you don't need to know about that, because not knowing is not an excuse for some of these things. If you then get asked, then you get fined or investigated. Not meant to scare you, but it is very, very easy to get started and get going, especially if you've already got a trade, you've already got a business, you've already got that idea. You just want to tick all those boxes to do everything by the book. Make sure you've got your records, make sure you're in the right place, make sure you want to look professional and really make a go of the business. Because if you've got that trade, that product, that service, that enthusiasm, everything else will follow through that. So it's just making sure you've got the T's crossed and the I's dotted to make sure you're where you should be, or where your business should be, of where you want to go forward. So get in touch if you need an appointment or a one-to-one. We can always help with that. We've also now got the Breakout Besties. You can sign up to that, so you've got us on hand for any questions you might need. Please like and subscribe to this podcast and have a listen to our other podcasts if you want to go more in depth in the finance side of things, or the marketing side of things, or even drill down further into websites, social medias, tech you might need, because there are 1,001 questions. This is just the start and a very broad overview of where you go to start with. If you need any contacts, have a look on our website. We've got loads of information on there, or just drop us a message and get in touch. Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe as always. And if you need anything, you know where we are.